Hello, everybody. Welcome to Little Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel and drop a like on this video and check us out over on This Is Not the Channel that has Spotify. Go ahead and subscribe. We're almost at 25K. This was a weird ass game. Um, I don't know where to begin. I did predict that the Denver Nuggets would win this one. However, I felt like the Thunder more or less had this game in their grasp and they completely blew it. And I would say there were really two pivotal moments where this happened. And that was when SGA got his fourth foul at the tail end of the third quarter or second quarter, because the moment that he got that foul and was subbed out, Denver subsequently went on a huge run and ended the quarter down three when I think they were down like 11 before SGA got his fourth foul. The other stuff was just simply their fourth quarter three-point shooting. I'm going to go through the play-by-play reel here real quick and tell you how many misses they have. Unfortunately, the quarter-by-quarter stats take a second to come in, but let's see. That is one missed three-pointer, two missed three-pointers, three. Yeah, I think they made two and they missed 10. They shot the ball so terribly in the fourth quarter. The other big thing is that Denver was great in this fourth quarter, and they've kind of struggled to be that dominant fourth quarter team that they have been at times. So that was nice to see. It was a good bounce back for them because that is the aspect of the game. Typically speaking, if you remember the 2023 Nuggets, a lot of the time they would kind of be trailing or letting their team, the opponent hang with them for a lot of the game. And then that fourth quarter would turn on and they would just bury teams. But this time around, it was them who was doing that, in spite of the fact they have not quite looked like that in the fourth recently. I'm going to focus on what Denver did right primarily out of the gate, because this is a really efficient, like hyper efficient Jokic game. He also got 12 damn free throws, which is a lot for him. Christian Brown had 23 points. He went 3 for 6 from outside, 8 for 14 from the field. That is exactly the type of performance you need from him. You need to get that big game from somebody else. And given that Aaron Gordon probably had his worst scoring game of the entire postseason thus far, it was huge that Brown was able to step up in that department. Then you had Jamal Murray, who had one of his better games as well. He did have 5 turnovers, but he had 25 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 9 for 19 from the field. Just felt like he was hitting a big shot every time that it mattered. And I don't, this is a weird thing, but I feel like Jamal Murray is up there in the league in terms of reverse layups. He does reverse layups anytime that he gets the opportunity to, and he's exceptionally good at them, so I do not blame him. However, the big play, big moment, big change in this series came from, or in this game, came from Julian Strother, who had 15 points on 3 of 4 shooting from outside and 4 for 4 from the line. And he did that in 19 and a half minutes of action. I have been a big Julian Strother believer. I thought that he would be rotation worthy by the time this postseason came around. And given how much three-point shooting has been a huge struggle for both of these teams, getting Strother to check in and hit 3 quick three-pointers was huge. I also want to give credit to Michael Porter Jr. because he shot the ball pretty well in his minutes. I do feel like people have been a little harsh on him. I don't think it's really his fault that he has shot the ball poorly given his shoulder injury, but they did need him to play better, and it was big that he did. Overall, they hit 12 of their 32 three-pointers, which is 37%, so they actually shot it pretty well. But OKC went 11 for 40, which is 27%. And I said that there would be two things that if the OKC Thunder did not win a championship, this would be why. And it is Jay Williams and Chet Holmgren not being reliable. Chet was pretty good in this game inside the arc, but his three ball was terrible, especially late. And the three-point shooting from the role players not being reliable. Now, Alex Caruso and Cason Wallace went 4 for 10 combined, which is good. J-Dub went 1 for 4. However, Aaron Wiggins was 0 for 4. Isaiah Joe was 0 for 4. And Lou Dort was 2 for 7, while Chet was 2 for 7 and J-Dub was 0 for 4. J-Dub had 10 assists and 4 stocks. One of those blocks was absolutely filthy, so I want to give him some credit for some of the good that he did, but 3 for 16 is just simply unacceptable. And if your second leading scorer and the guy who's going to play the second, actually the most amount of minutes in this game because SGA was in foul trouble, then you need to be better than that. You just simply have to be. And I think if they lose in win this game 7 and J-Dub is really bad again, there's a decent chance that he will get traded. I don't think they'll do it if they advance. I think they'd be a little premature, but if they lost, especially with how poorly he has been shooting the ball, just seems like he's not very reliable as a second option, and I could see them using him plus their picks to go out and get like Giannis, for example. But that all aside, as for how they would potentially bounce back, well, first of all, game 7 is going to be in OKC, and I expected Denver to win this game anyways. However, the fashion in which they did it, the way in which they just looked like the better team for a large portion of the game, and especially looked like the better team when it mattered most in crunch time, I'm a little bit more nervous for that game than I thought. You really need J-Dub to bounce back. You really need to get some good shooting out of players other than, two of them who shot the ball well. Well, I guess it'd be three because J Dub went one, or J Will went 1 for 2, but that's 2 attempts. SGA was good for what it's worth. He had 32 points in 35 minutes, 11 for 16 from the field, 8 for 11 from the free throw line. He took less free throw attempts than Jokic, so I don't want to fucking hear it. Yeah, I just, he wasn't as electric as he maybe needed to be, but I don't know. It's hard to blame a guy for losing a game where his teammates collectively shoot 9 for 38 from outside. That is a pretty, sorry, 9 for 36 rather. It's a pretty hefty thing to try and come back from, and I just didn't think it was possible, but I still think they're going to win game 7. They just need to be locked in. They need to get better shooting from their role players, and they also need for Denver to not get something like Julian Strawther going off, because that was a huge boost for Denver. Honestly, there's a pretty damn good chance that they lose this game if not for him going off. Obviously, if you just went with the just subtract his points way of looking at it, then that's obvious. But obviously, I keep saying obvious way too much. Other people would be in his place to take the scoring, so it wouldn't necessarily be 1-to-1. But he brought a real spark plug, and as OKC's offense was really grinding to a halt, he came in there and he helped Denver go on a run. So shout out Julian Strawther, never sold my stock. And shout out to the Denver Nuggets, man, because they are so much more impressive than I expected them to be. I was debating whether or not to even categorize them as a dark horse when I did my dark horse video, because I felt like they were too good to be a dark horse, but too bad to be an actual legit bona fide contender. But here we are, and it's looking like the Celtics are going to lose in round 2, more likely than not. And if they don't, they'll still have no Jason Tatum, so they'll probably lose for that reason in the end. And the Cleveland Cavaliers got eliminated. So what does anyone know about anything about which NBA team is contenders and which one is not? I don't know. But excellent game. OKC, little bit disappointing in their execution. Mark Daigneault should have subbed out SGA after his 3rd foul. His 4th one was a little bit ridiculous, to be fair. And J-Dub just has to be better. I don't care about this margin stuff. I don't care about, I love to highlight players who are capable of being impactful while missing their shots. And I will say that J-Dub was impactful despite missing his shots, because he played great defense and he got 10 assists, which is all nice. However, your team needs you to score the fucking ball. And if you're going to catch Denver on as good of an offensive night as you did today with Brown, Jamal, and Jokic all going off, you're going to lose. You're going to lose if your second option is shooting 3 for 16 from the field. There's just no other way around it. And there's a lot of things you can blame on this game, and beyond just J-Dub, the role player shooting, but it's mostly on J-Dub. And yeesh, bad stuff.